Good morning. Welcome to Walking Boxing. It is Friday, May the 9th, 2025. And I tell you, we're almost ready to trade in the cap for the beanie. It's a little bit chilly this morning. I think it's about 5 degrees as I'm recording this, which is not overly bad, I suppose. It's going to get worse than that as the winter rolls in, but I've been used to sort of 12, 13s, 14s every morning, and now we're at 5. But anyway, it could be worse. Could be Neil down there with no shoes on his feet or paws or anything like that. So yeah, it could be worse. All right, on this day, back in, where are we, 1970, the great Mexican Vicente Saldivar defeated our own Johnny Famechon on points in Rome. That was for the world welterweight title. And one of the greats was Johnny Famechon. Truly, arguably our greatest ever fighter. Actually, there's a few people that think that he is the top of the heap as far as Aussie boxers goes. I'd probably have him about 3 or 4 or 5 or something like that. I'd probably still have Jeff Fenech and Lionel Rose above him, and maybe there's arguably some others as well. But that happened on this day in 1970, and rest in peace to the great Johnny Famechon, who passed away a few years ago now. In 1983, Venezuela's Rafael Orono defended his WBC super flyweight title against Mexican Raul Valdez. In 1992, I remember this fight, terrible Terry Norris knocked out Meldrick Taylor in 4 rounds in Las Vegas. That was for the 154-pound world title. And I did mention actually Meldrick Taylor the other night during the episode of Dream Fights with Costa Tszyu about how great a fighter he was and how he just never recovered from that loss to Julio Cesar Chavez, probably mentally and physically. I mean, he was in all sorts of physical trouble after the fight, but also mentally just was never the same. And if you remember, of course, he was stopped with 2 seconds to go in that fight, which would have been so hard for him to handle. But a potentially great fighter that just never was for all different reasons. But he was stopped in 1992 against terrible Terry Norris. And in 2003, in Madrid, Spain, Javier Castillo, I think that's how you pronounce it, knocked out Diego Castillo in the first round to retain the 154-pound world championship. So there's a little bit of what happened on this day. I know I do sometimes miss a couple of fights here or there, but you can only sort of get so much off the internet sometimes, and things will pop up. They only sort of go mainly for their own sort of title fights. You don't sort of see some of the biggest non-title fights in history. But anyway, I'll do my best to keep them coming at you anyway. Whether you're interested or not, I'm going to keep throwing them at you. All right, not on this day, in the news in the last 24 hours, been a bit happening. And I did touch on it the other day, that potentially the Manny Pacquiao Marius Barrios fight, WBC welterweight title fight, could end up on the same card as the Tim Tszyu Sebastian Fundora rematch. It looks like that is the case. Multiple sites yesterday talking about it, even here in Australia. It hasn't been confirmed yet, but it looks like it's going to be the case at the MGM Grand as well. So it's not going to be at the T-Mobile Arena, because apparently there's a Lady Gaga concert already booked in for the venue that night, and they're going to shift it to the MGM Grand, which I think is even better. Having been to the MGM Grand numerous times and the T-Mobile Arena, the MGM Grand's still it for me. It really is. The atmosphere there. It's a smaller venue. T-Mobile Arena, I think, has got about 20,000, and MGM's got 16. I know it's only 4,000 people, but you can really tell the difference. And I don't know. It's amazing that you walk into the MGM, like a lot of these famous fight venues, and you can almost feel the history in the air, if that makes sense. I know it's a bit silly, but you walk in there and you can almost hear the crowd cheering, and all the massive fights that have taken place at that venue. And you walk in there, it's like when you visit an historical place. You just look at it and go, wow, the events that happened here. Now, I know T-Mobile's had a couple of good fights, but to me, it's still a little or especially when it compares to the MGM, it hasn't got as much soul and as much spirit. It's a great location. It's a brilliant stadium, really well located on the strip. It's sort of just almost halfway and really accessible from all the other casinos, and it's awesome. But yeah, when you walk into the MGM Grand and just think of all those unbelievable fights, and it's good too because it's like if you're staying around it or in it, you walk out or walk in and out of the arena. It's in the actual casino, so you don't even have to go outside. So you walk in the casino, go through the gaming and all that sort of stuff, through the shops, and then you literally walk into the arena. It's fantastic. So I'm really glad for that. And also for Tim, he's got the opportunity to fight at the T-Mobile Arena. Now he's going to fight at the MGM Grand. I think it's another bucket list item ticked off if you're a world-class fighter. And so it should be a ripper. Now the question is what fight will be the main event? It's a good question. I don't know. There was talk that Gervonta Davis and Lamont Roach might have their rematch on the same card. I think if that is on the card, that will be the main event. But geez, I'll tell you what, name-wise, you'd have to say Manny Pacquiao, wouldn't you, and Mario Barrios. But hey, he's 46 years of age, hasn't fought for, 3 years or 4 years or whatever it's been. Does Tim Tszyu versus Sebastian Fundora become the main event? I'm not sure. Look, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter, does it? It'll be a ripper card anyway. And I think Sam Goodman's going to fight on the card as well. But, I still don't know. Well, I probably won't even try and guess. I still don't know how a 46-year-old who hasn't fought for 4 years or 3 years, whatever it is. I think when was it, 21? So I think it's 4 years anyway. How a 46-year-old that hasn't fought for 4 years gets an opportunity at a world title bout. And I know it's Manny Pacquiao, and that's great. A legend. We all love Manny. But do we have to sort of put that aside and hold the ranking, or in this case, the WBC sanctioning body accountable? That is ridiculous. I know, actually, just to change subject quickly, I know on the weekend there was a little bit of scrutiny on the WBA, even for putting Justice Honey in magically in the top 15. I think he went to number 9, whereas previously he wasn't ranked in the top 15 at all. And then as soon as he's the late replacement for Big Baby Miller against Fabio Wardley, he's all of a sudden magically in the rankings after not being in there for March, I think, or April. All of a sudden he's in there all of a sudden. But I think in that case, I don't know for sure, but I think having read about it, I've got a feeling that because Justice was the WBO Global Champion, that he couldn't be ranked by the WBA, and that's why he wasn't. And as soon as he relinquished that WBO Global title, he was then able to be ranked. I think that's what I sort of read and heard. So anyway, but the sanctioning bodies, I give up. But the Pacquiao Barrios fight, look, I've got to say, if Manny puts in a really good camp and shows even 60% of what he used to have, I think it's going to be too much for Barrios. I think he's actually a really good chance to win. But again, having been out for 4 years, it's a big ask. You would have to think that Mario Barrios would have just enough to scrape past Manny Pacquiao. And look, Barrios didn't look too bad in his last fight. I've always been a little bit critical of him. I thought he was very limited, but he looked okay in his last fight. But does he have to be spectacular to beat Manny? I don't know. All I'm hoping for is Manny Pacquiao turns up and just winds back the clock to some degree and comes out safe and sound. If he loses, okay, that's life. He'll get a good payday and walk away, and everyone's happy. And hopefully that will be the end for him. But I just hope he walks out in good condition. And if he wins, geez, what happens then? Do we get? Oh, geez, I just shudder to think though. Does he then put his hand up to fight a Boots Ennis, which I would not feel good about at all. But anyway, in their wisdom, the WBC have sanctioned this fight. Again, don't try and understand the way they work. And I have actually thought the WBC recently haven't been too bad with what they've been doing. The WBA are all over the place. The IBF probably overreact a little bit sometimes. The WBO are sort of in between. They're just a well-run body that doesn't really upset the apple cart too much. And then you've got the WBC, who haven't been too bad now doing something like this. But anyway, it is Manny Pacquiao, so I'm just assuming they're going to make the exception, because when does rules and regulations and protocols matter when you've got the president who just decides what he's going to do anyway? So that fight is July 19th. So if you are looking to go, I've had a bit of a look. I just hold off on airfares just yet. There's nothing on sale at the moment. If you're looking to go direct, you can probably get a few cheaper flights if you want to go through Air New Zealand or the Philippines, is it the Philippines Airlines, whatever it is. There's a couple, but if you're waiting for a Virgin or a Qantas, just wait a little bit longer, because I'm sure they'll have a red tail sale. This is Qantas, a red tail sale pretty soon, and you should get a ticket for sort of $1,200. At the moment, they're about two, three, something like that. Accommodation, if you're looking to go, I know I'm looking well ahead here, but the MGM Grand is the obvious choice. A little pricey, but you can go straight across the road to the New York, which is probably about $100 a night cheaper. But if you want to go even cheaper still, and still be in an okay casino, look at the Excalibur. It's a little bit worn, it's a little bit dated, but I tell you what, you'll get a room for probably less than half the price than what you would against the MGM or New York, and you are literally straight across the road. So that's my choices there. If you had been at the T-Mobile, I would definitely say stay at New York or the Park MGM. But in this case, the New York's probably the best bet. As I said, about $100 cheaper a night, and directly across the road there's a link or a bridge. You can walk out the doors, go across, get a bridge across the strip to the MGM, and then you're there. And then, of course, yeah, as I said, if you want to actually treat yourself, stay at the MGM Grand itself. It's a magnificent casino, and I love staying there, but it is big. It's pretty hard to get around it. But anyway, there's a few different options for you if you are looking to go over. Now, I'm up in the air about going. There's 3 fights. Look, I'm no guarantee to get to any of them, but there's the 3 fights I'm really looking at the moment. George Kambosos, Richardson Hitchens in New York. It'd be great with the Hall of Fame the week before, as I said a couple of times on here. But it's only, about a month away now, or 5 weeks, so maybe not. Then you have this one on July 19, and then, of course, Crawford and Canelo in September. So I'll make my mind up soon. If the fights come on sale for the July one, we will see. I know it'll be a big weekend for Aussie boxing over there, and geez, what sort of YouTuber would I be if I don't go over there to see Tim Tszyu fight in Las Vegas? But we'll see. But anyway, that is the big event. We'll see whether Roach and Davis will be added to that card as well. But a good excuse to get over there. And you've got to remember too, it's going to be the middle of winter here in Australia. It'll be about 42 to 43 degrees every day over in Las Vegas when you're there. So again, a good excuse to get over there and sit by the pools in Las Vegas. All right, so the blame game's still going on about last weekend's Fatal Fury card. I won't sort of keep dwelling on it. We've been over it numerous times, but it was interesting to hear from Rolly Romero in the cold light of day. And I'll tell you what, his stock's sort of gone up a little bit in my books. I always thought he was just an idiot, really. Yeah, but apart from his fight last week, which he looked fantastic and really did a number on Ryan Garcia, he just made some really good points. He said, look, they didn't even have a hotel room ready for him when he got to New York. They mucked him around, treated him really badly, but he kept focus. He just sort of kept his distance from all the organisers and everything like that, and all the distractions, and really just focused on the fight and put in a great performance. But he just said, look, in his opinion, with these fights that didn't measure up, he just said, look, when you give the fighters sort of nothing to fight for, and you just guarantee them these massive paydays, you're going to get that type of performance. But he also said, in his opinion, it's always bad news or a bad business plan, I suppose, to have other fights in the wings ready to go, pretty much already booked before you get those fighters to have maybe a tune-up or an in-between fight. And we saw it on the weekend that we had Ryan Garcia, who was looking to fight Devin Haney, put in an absolute shocker. Haney, on the flip side, was scheduled to fight Garcia next. He put in a shocker, even though he won. And then the biggest one is probably Canelo, who was obviously fighting Crawford coming up and did not want to take one risk. And look, I suppose in hindsight, you can't sort of blame Canelo, because, I mean, he's got a $100 million, $120 million fight with Crawford coming up. You can probably not blame him for being cautious to risk that. So I get it. So the blame lies in the organisers for having that out there and pretty much forcing him to fight that way. I mean, actually, I would take that back. Not forcing him. No one's forcing him to fight that badly, but the mindset of Canelo, Haney and Garcia, you could probably think that, geez, we've got these massive paydays fights already locked in, basically, already signed, sealed and delivered. So do we really want to take a risk? And all three fighters fought accordingly, especially Canelo. So, yeah, for all his misgivings, Rolly Romero, he actually made a lot of sense. And as I said, his stock's sort of gone up for me a little bit, Rolly Romero. I thought he was actually really well spoken. Yeah, he can get a bit loose sometimes, and I think he might have a few issues upstairs. But anyway, he's entertaining, and look, he deserves the Haney fight, whether he gets it or not. I think he actually said he wasn't too stressed about fighting Haney. Just like, yeah, whatever, we'll just go whatever's next. I mean, Haney's style, I think, is bad for anyone. So maybe Rolly Romero says, all right, well, maybe I'll look at a Teofimo Lopez or maybe go, or is that welterweight? Maybe I'll go for a Boots Ennis fight, something like that. I mean, that would be a dangerous fight for him. But I'll tell you what, it's better than putting on the track shoes trying to chase after Devin Haney, isn't it? So, because he's a very difficult fighter to beat, Devin Haney. I know Ryan Garcia had sort of the plan, but as even George found out as well, and many others, to try and chase him around and cut him off is for a fighter that just refuses to engage. I mean, there's a difference between being a cautious fighter and a standoff counterpuncher like a Shakur Stevenson or one of these types of guys. But when you get Haney, who literally just doesn't stand still, very, very tough to track down. And he's got good skills as well, which makes it even harder. But yeah, Rolly Romero, yeah, he wasn't too fussed. He said, yeah, whatever comes. He's going to get a big fight no matter what. It could even be a Garcia rematch. Who knows? That would sort of seem the most logical one. With the Haney and Garcia fight sort of on the rocks at the moment, maybe that makes sense. Maybe Haney has another fight and Garcia doesn't worry about a Haney rematch. He just gets focused on that, and maybe it's Romero and Garcia do the rematch, and then if Garcia gets past that, then they might look at the Devin Haney rematch. But me, for one, I'm not that stressed about it. Actually, I never was, as far as even the rematch before the Romero fight. I thought, well, Garcia's been there, done that. Are we really going to see anything different from Devin Haney? I probably didn't think so. So I wasn't too stressed about it. I mean, it was a good fight. It was a good upset. But as far as actual action goes, apart from the knockdowns, it was just, for me, just another fight. But the theatrics were there and the drama and all the build-up, and that's always good for boxing. But, yeah, as I said, I'm not too stressed. All right, as far as the rankings go, they came out yesterday, the Ring rankings, and it probably shows, in the scheme of things, of world boxing where everyone stands. The Ring, as we know, are always the most recognised and respected rankings, and with all the drama and bullshit that the sanctioning bodies go on with, the Ring is probably the one we all look to. And the pound for pound rankings have come out, as well as just the normal rankings, and I think there was only about half a dozen Aussie fighters that were actually ranked by the Ring, which probably shows you again how hard it is to get in there. And I think a couple of the females as well. I think now there was one surprise. Now cruiserweight, we'll go through them just quickly. So Jai Patai, no surprise, number one. He is the Ring champion, so he's ranked number one there, the only Aussie to be ranked number one. Hang on, buddy, come here. Light heavyweight. Now, this one surprised me. Hang on there, just wait for this bus to go past. There's no Aussies ranked, but I was really surprised that Conor Wallace didn't get a gig, because in at number 10 is Imam Kataev, the Chechenian Russian that's up there with the Cambosises, and he's fighting Morel. When is that? Is that July, isn't it? Yeah, that's July as well. So actually, that's the same night as the Zhu and Fundora fight. So plenty happening that weekend. So I would think that Conor Wallace has done enough to be in there above Imam Kataev. As good as he is, I would think that Conor Wallace, being ranked, I think, in the top 2 or 3, pretty much all organisations, would be in the Ring magazine top 10 light heavyweights, but he's not. No one at super middleweight or middleweight. At 154, Tim Tszyu is ranked number 7. And the champion is actually vacant in that division, I suppose, with Crawford moving up. But Tim Tszyu ranked number 7. No one in the welterweights at 140. Now, Teofimo Lopez is listed as a champion. Liam Paro is number 5. No George Kambosos, which is probably to be expected if you're being really, or you're sticking to the, I suppose, what the perceived rules and regulations. George Kambosos with only the one fight at 140 against Jake Wiley doesn't really qualify. So only Liam Paro there. I think the only other ones were Sam Goodman, who was, where's he in the 122s? I've jumped one there. There it is, 122. So Sam Goodman at number 4 by the Ring magazine. So it's a very, very good standing from Sam. So I'm sure he'll get his shot very, very soon. But ranked number 4 at 118. Jason Maloney is number 8. And at 115, Andrew Maloney is number 7. So that's the males. For the females, this is a good one at middleweight. So 160, Clarissa Shields is the champion, but Desley Robinson with a bullet, the number 1 ranked challenger to Clarissa Shields at 160. Now, Desley wants to fight Clarissa Shields, so could we see that fight down the track? I know Clarissa Shields is fighting, I think, Lani Peterson next, but she's ranked number 1 at middleweight. Probably shows how sort of shallow the division is after that, though, because Kay Scott is number 5. And all due respect to Kay Scott, but she's had 5 fights. She's 4-1. Not sure how you get ranked number 5 by the Ring magazine with a record of 4-1. But anyway, and then I think apart from that, it was only featherweight. So we had Amanda Serrano, the champion. Skye Nicholson ranked number 2. And then at 122, it was Shanika Johnson, who was ranked number, where was she? Oh, hang on. Oh, that's 122. Sorry, 118. Shanika Johnson ranked number 1 behind Dina Thorsland, who is the champion. So that the ranking. So what's that, about 9 or 10 Aussies ranked between the males and the females. So it goes to show how hard it is at that world level to break in. Let's have a quick look at the pound for pound rankings, and I'll give my thoughts. Where are we? Pound for pound. All right, so the Ring have Alexander Usyk at number 1. They have Naoya Inoue at number 2. They have Terence Crawford at number 3. They have Dimitri Bivol at 4. Artur Beterbiev at 5. Jesse Rodriguez at 6. Junto Nakatani at 7. Canelo Alvarez at 8. Kenshiro Terashi, which is a surprising one, but probably not surprising in the same way. He's at number 9. And David Benavides at number 10. Look, I'm not so sure I'd have Benavides in there. Maybe not even Terashi as either. But I think they did, I'm pretty sure they had all the others after that. Where are we? I'll see if I can get... Yeah, no, I don't think it's going to let me do it. But it did have all the fighters ranked. Yeah, no, it's gone now, so I'm not sure what happened there. But they had from all the fighters down. So look, out of that, I don't know. You could make a case maybe for Jai Patai to be in there, maybe Tank Davis. But either way, the order, I'm assuming that Canelo Alvarez has gone down because of his performance last weekend. But, geez, when you got Terence Crawford at number 3, I'm not sure that's the case. I mean, he didn't look great in his last fight, and he hasn't fought for over a year. Oh, sorry, not over a year, nearly a year. It was August last year. So I suppose if you're looking at that as a reference point for Canelo Alvarez, I'm not sure he deserves to go all the way down to number 8 when you've got Terence, who's still able to be there at number 3. So Usyk and Inoue for sure. Even, I don't know, does Artur Beterbiev still deserve to be number 5? I'm not sure. But anyway, that's the rankings. Tell us what you think. So Usyk 1, Inoue 2, Crawford 3, Bivol 4, Beterbiev 5, Bam Rodriguez 6, Nakatani 7, Canelo 8, Kenshiro Terashi 9, David Benavides 10. Look, the only one I'm probably looking at there is probably David Benavides. I'm not quite sure he deserves to be at number 10. I would think, I don't know, maybe if he's there, you could look at someone like Jai Patai, but I know Jai hasn't really got the body of work in yet, but it'll come. But either way, give us your thoughts. Let us know what you think about the Ring Magazine top 10 pound for pound. I might, it's probably due for me to do the Aussie and world pound for pound. I'll have a bit more of a think about it and maybe do it in another episode coming up. But guys, look, that's going to do it for this Friday. Heading down to the football tonight, my first game of the year, the Saints against the Blues at the MCG. So let's hope we can finally put a little bit of form together and beat those Saints who seem to beat us every single time. Not the greatest game to go down to with the team that always beats us, but we'll see how we go. But guys, have a great day. We'll catch you tomorrow.